She stood at the edge of my dock, arms crossed, like she owned the damn water. Her voice echoed over the lake, sharp and fake sweet. "You can't stop us. The lake is community property." I didn't say a word, just watched her guess three of them laugh as they hauled a cooler onto my boat ramp like it was a public picnic spot. One of them cracked open a beer and tossed the cap into the water. Another pulled out a Bluetooth speaker and blasted music so loud it scared the ducks clean off the shoreline. I stepped down from the porch, slow and steady. "You're on private land," I said, voice low but firm. "And that ramp is mine. Your guests need to leave. Now." Karen turned like she was in some soap opera. "Excuse me?" "Live in the HOA. That lake is ours." I didn't argue. I didn't need to. I just held up the laminated deed. She didn't even look at it. Instead, she whipped out her phone. "You're threatening my guests," she snapped. "I'm calling the sheriff." Smiled just a little, because I knew what she didn't. Was the reason that ramp existed? My family had built this cabin 25 years ago, long before the HOA ever existed. And when the lake boundaries were redrawn after the fire, I bought the additional lot myself legally, with county approval. But Karen didn't care about that. She just cared about control. "You'll regret this," she hissed, dialing 911. "You messed with the wrong people." Her guests stood behind her, trying to act tough, until one of them glanced up and saw the "No Trespassing" sign nailed into the tree, complete with the sheriff's seal and my name printed clear as day under it. He froze. Karen didn't notice. She was too busy yelling into the phone, and that's when I saw the first patrol car pull up. She thought they were here for me. She didn't realize they already had my version of the story: security footage, voice recordings, everything. While she was playing Queen of the Lake, I'd been sending proof straight to the real sheriff. The deputy stepped out of the cruiser and nodded at me first. Karen didn't catch that she was too busy storming toward him like she'd been personally insulted by the weather. "Officer, arrest him." He threatened my guests and tried to push us off our lake access. The deputy didn't even flinch. "Ma'am, I'll need you to calm down." "No, you need to do your job," she snapped, jabbing a finger toward me. "He showed us a fake deed and said we were trespassing. This is harassment." The deputy looked over at me. "You got the documents?" I pulled the folder from my back pocket, quietly handed it over. Karen scoffed. "Oh, give me a break." Really buying into his little fantasy? The deputy didn't say anything. He flipped through the papers, checked the boundary map, then pulled out his phone and made a quick call, probably to confirm the parcel ID with the county records. Karen crossed her arms, smirking like she'd already won, but the smirk dropped. When another car rolled in, this one wasn't marked, out stepped Sheriff Maddox himself. Karen blinked. "Wait, what? Why is he here?" The deputy glanced at her. Sheriff asked to be looped in personally. Karen tried to recover. "Perfect. He'll settle this. He knows I'm on the HOA board." Maddox didn't even look at her. He walked straight up to me, nodded once, and said, "I got the footage. It's clear as day." Karen paled. "Footage?" she echoed. Maddox finally turned to her. "Yes, ma'am." "3 individuals, guests of yours, entered private property, clearly marked with legal signage. 1 dumped trash in the lake, which is a federal violation under the conservation easement. And you personally encouraged them to stay after being warned." Her voice cracked. "You can't be serious. That's not a crime." "No," Maddox replied calmly. "X2, trespassing and environmental damage." Karen looked like she'd swallowed glass. "But this is HOA land." "No, it's not," I cut in, finally speaking. "This cabin sits outside HOA jurisdiction. Always has. The board knew that. You didn't." Her guests started backing away from the dock, one of them whispering, "I told you this felt sketchy. ... Karen spun to them. "Don't move. No one's leaving." But Maddox was already pulling gloves on. "You'll want to stop talking, ma'am," he said quietly. "Everything's being recorded." She looked between all of us, realized she was the only one who didn't see this coming. And for the first time since this whole HOA nightmare began, she looked afraid. Karen's voice dropped, shaky now. I didn't know." I thought it was community land. That's what the HOA maps say. The HOA doesn't get to draw legal boundaries, Maddox said, flipping the deed closed. The county does. And according to this, he tapped the paper. You've been trespassing for weeks. That hit harder than anything else, because this wasn't her first time at my lake. Her guests had been showing up every other weekend, partying, leaving, beer cans in the woods, and acting like they owned the place. I'd let it slide at first, just to keep the peace. But she pushed too far this time. Karen suddenly turned on me. You could have just told me, like a neighbor I did, I said, voice flat, twice. You ripped the letters off your mailbox and told me to call my lawyer if I had a problem. Her mouth opened, then closed. Nothing came out. But Maddox wasn't done. We've also pulled security logs from your HOA's online portal, he continued. There's a pattern of abuse, false warnings, harassment. You posted a fake notice to this property claiming it was subject to HOA discipline, which, again, doesn't apply outside HOA bounds. Karen's face turned white. That wasn't meant to be official. It was just a deterrent. The deputy gave her a look. Impersonating legal authority is a felony in this state. Her guests were dead silent now, slowly backing toward their truck. One of them actually raised both hands, as if he thought he might be cuffed next. And then came the part I didn't expect. Maddox glanced at me. Do you want to press charges? Hit me like a gut punch. I'd spent months dealing with these people, Corin barging onto my land. Passive-aggressive notes on my truck. Even blocking my driveway once during a lake cleanup, she never had permission to organize. Part of me wanted to say yes, to watch her get walked off my land in cuffs, but then I looked at the lake behind her, calm still. I shook my head. No, not yet. I just want it on record. Karen actually sagged with relief. Too soon, however, I added, if any of them set foot here again without permission, I will file. And this time, I won't be as generous. Karen didn't say a word, but Maddox turned to her one last time. You should also expect a civil notice from the Environmental Board. Dumping into a protected lake isn't something that gets swept under the rug, HOA or not. Then he tipped his hat to me. You did everything right. And just like that, he left. But Karen, she just stood there, small, silent, and finally, defeated. The silence after they left was the loudest thing all day. Karen didn't even argue anymore. She just stared out over the water like she was trying to rewind everything that had just happened. Her guests climbed into their truck without saying goodbye, one of them muttered. Told you this wasn't worth it, before slamming the door. The engine roared, tires kicked up gravel, and within seconds they were gone, leaving Karen alone on the edge of the dock like a queen without a crown. I didn't say a word. She looked like she wanted to, maybe to apologize, maybe to spin another. But instead, she turned and walked away. No threats this time, no smug remarks. Just slow steps back up the hill, toward the road where her golf cart was parked, like some kind of HOA patrol vehicle. As soon as she was out of sight, I let out the breath I'd been holding all afternoon. I thought it was over, but I was wrong. The next morning, I woke up to a knock on the cabin door. Not loud, just steady, controlled. I opened it, expecting maybe Maddox with paperwork or one of the neighbors, curious about what went down. But it wasn't that. It was a man in a gray suit holding a briefcase, flanked by a woman with a clipboard. Mr. Harris, the man asked. Yes. We're here from the Lakeview Architectural Compliance Board. We need to inspect the structural perimeter of your dock and foundation for pending variance reviews. I blinked. Excuse me? The woman cut in, reading from her clipboard. There's been an HOA petition filed claiming unauthorized construction within community-adjacent zones. This is just a preliminary review before formal notice. I stared at them. This wasn't coincidence. Karen was already trying again, but now from behind the scenes. Hiding behind the HOA's red tape. No yelling, no screaming, just quiet warfare. Forms, inspections, complaints. She wasn't coming at me with guests and beer cans this time. She was coming with bureaucracy. But what she didn't know is that she'd just made a much bigger mistake. because buried in my cabin's blueprints, and already filed with the county, was something the HOA never bothered to research. Something she definitely didn't know. This cabin? It wasn't just outside HOA control, it sat on a legacy zoning line, one with federal protection status. And the last time someone tried to mess with those boundaries, let's just say they didn't end up filing anything ever again.